All right, let's dive into the California weather forecast, and in particular, that red flag warning that is going on throughout much of Northern California. I will say be sure to stay tuned till the end of this live forecast, where I'll try my best to go over and try to answer any questions that have been posted in the live chat. So let's just start off with the current conditions going on in California. You can see that there's almost no clouds whatsoever over California. We have a couple hanging out as the marine layer along the coast, but clear skies over much of California. And the reason for that is this large ridge that has officially moved in over the state. So where you have a large ridge like that, that's going to bring warmer temperatures, it's going to bring dry air, and typically clear skies as well. So you can see that's going to be over us through Tuesday, through Wednesday, even into late Wednesday and into Thursday. It seems like that ridge just keeps amplifying. And then the good news is, if you're tired of the warm temperatures, we could have potential for this low pressure system coming in Friday, which would bring some cooler temps. But again, as of right now, large ridge over the state, that's what's driving our weather as of right now. So the big thing that's causing are the above average temperatures. Currently, we're 10 to 15 degrees above average throughout the majority of the state. As we get into later this afternoon, as you saw that ridge filling in, that's just going to continue to rise our temperatures up. So we're going to get into 10 to even 25 degrees above average by this afternoon. And then this warming trend is just going to continue as that ridge continues to build in. So tomorrow afternoon, you can see once again, we're looking like 25 not miles per hour, but 20 to 25 degrees Fahrenheit above average. So warm Tuesday, warm Wednesday, Thursday, it actually looks like it's going to get even warmer. But then there is good news as we get into Friday, as I did show that one little low pressure system moving through. That'll actually bring in some below average temperatures on Friday. But what we're concerned about is what's going on right now, and particularly through Northern California, because that's where that red flag warning is in place. So here's your current temperatures right now. It's only around, it's 11:45 right now, so it's even warmer than this chart is showing. But you can see much of the valley is already into the low 80s. Santa Rosa, you're at 78 degrees. San Francisco might even hit 70 today as well. You know it's warm if San Francisco might push into the 70s. So if we actually look at the forecast highs for today, it says Sacramento getting up to 90 degrees. Up in Redding, where I believe that red flag warning stretches all the way up there, 84 degrees today. So certainly warm, and you can almost pair that with the temperature anomaly map. So going into Monday afternoon, right where we have that Redding location in northern parts of the valley, you can see 20 to 25 degrees above average. So certainly a warm day, and you can see San Francisco 70 degrees. Should actually be a beautiful day in the city once that marine layer has officially burnt off. Looks like it's going to be sunny, but it will most likely be windy as well. And that's actually what I think is the bigger part of the story, because if we just had these warm temperatures, it would be pleasant. It's not in the triple digits yet. Springtime is kind of nice because you're in that Goldilocks zone of temperatures. Winter's cold, summer is quite hot. Springtime, you get the kind of middle ground between the two. However, during springtime, you do often have some strong winds, and that's what I think is actually the bigger story going on today. And we can actually look at these winds right now. Up in areas like Redding, we have some wind gusts already up to 30 miles per hour, but then especially through the valley, that's where you see the strongest winds coming from a northerly direction. So 38 miles per hour, that's certainly strong. It's not the 75 mile per hour wind gusts that we've seen in some of these red flag warning forecasts, but that's certainly something to talk about. And one of my key areas that I always look at is over here by Orville and Paradise, and this location, that's where we often get those very strong wind events mixed with some dry air and warm temperatures. The good news is that actually looks to be this pocket where the winds actually aren't as strong. It looks like they're being funneled directly from Red Bluff all the way down into Fairfield. That looks to be where the winds are the strongest. So as we click through the rest of the day, you're going to see those strong winds continue even into this evening, still 35 miles per hour. And again, that's going to be when we're pairing those winds with some warm temperatures as well, getting into the low 90s. So the other area of the forecast, we've got warm temperatures, we've got high winds. The third aspect we always look at when we're talking about wildfire is the humidity, how much moisture is in the air. And that is the other part of the forecast that is on the concerning side. You can see whenever you're below 20%, that's when you start to get a little cautious. As you get into the low teens and even the single digits, that's where you have extremely dry air. And you can see basically wherever you click in this area, we have humidities right around the single digits to low teens. So certainly dry air throughout the day today. And that is actually going to be continuing into tomorrow, where that red flag warning is in place until about 5 p.m. tomorrow. So part of the reason for that, still have the dry air. We also are going to have even warmer temperatures tomorrow as that ridge fills in. However, there is some good news. It looks like the winds are actually going to be coming down tomorrow afternoon. So that's why the red flag warning is ending at 5 p.m. tomorrow. You can see 19 mile per hour wind gusts. So that's looking at the gusts. If you just looked at winds, 4 miles per hour. So that's why the red flag warning is ending, and is the reason my main concern is this afternoon when it comes to the potential for any fire starts. But again, we looked at temperature, winds, and the other aspect is humidity. The reason humidity is important is because if your air is dry, your fuels get dry. And if you've ever tried to start a campfire with a moist log or a dry log, it makes sense that with a dry log, it's much easier to start a fire and then it will burn faster and hotter. So this is looking at our lighter fuels. This is fuels that are less than an inch in diameter. And these are the ones that dry out the fastest when they've been exposed to that dry air. And you can see much of California is in that 1 to 2% fuel moisture, 3 to 4% fuel moisture, certainly on the dry side, and especially up in the valley where we have those warmest temperatures and those strongest winds. So it's all those different factors combining, which is why the NFDRS, National Fire Danger Rating System. That's the key thing I always look at when trying to identify where fire danger is. Again, it's NFDRS. That has very high fire danger right up there in the valley where all of those factors were combining. Warm temps, high winds, low humidity, and low fuel moistures as well. So we have very high fire danger. It's not in the extreme category yet. We actually do have some extreme fire danger here in the western parts of Texas, and we might have some very select portions of California getting into that extreme category. But again, it's still very early in the fire season. I believe the official fire season doesn't actually start till May 15th, but I was just hearing one CAL FIRE representative talk, and he says there isn't really a fire season anymore. Wildfire is basically just all year round. So just to sum up, very high fire danger, and because of that, the National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning in the exact area where we saw all those factors coming together. Now, an interesting thing that I noticed when looking at this map is there is not any red flags for Southern California. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I thought I would dive in and try to see why that would be. What of those factors that are happening in NorCal are not happening in Southern California? So looking at the current temperatures, it's already 77 in Bakersfield, LA 73, a bit cooler down in San Diego. We're getting a lot of that marine influence today. If we look at the high temperatures, it's going to be warm. 89 up here in Bakersfield, Los Angeles 80 degrees, Riverside 82. So I would say that doesn't explain why SoCal doesn't have a red flag warning, because certainly has the warm temperatures. The other aspect would be humidity, and looking at the humidities throughout the day today, getting into 2 p.m., 3 p.m., it actually looks like they have just as dry of air as the northern parts of the Sacramento Valley. So temperatures are warm, humidity is low, so that doesn't really explain why they wouldn't have a red flag. The only other thing I could think of is looking at the wind gusts, And it's actually interesting to go back to right now. They currently have some gusts up to 42, 43 miles per hour. So that would be the combination of all these same factors. However, if we keep clicking throughout the day today, the winds calm down substantially. I think that's the right word to use right there. They go from what they are right now at gusting at 40 miles per hour down to 13 miles per hour as we get into the overnight hours, and even lower as we continue to move into early tomorrow morning. So that is the reason I believe why SoCal doesn't have the red flag warning. They've got all the other factors, and they actually do have the strong winds right now, but those winds will start to calm down really in the next hour or two. Now, the one other thing that I think this map shows really well has to do with the temperatures, and we'll look at the temperatures right here. So right there, you see how warm the inland areas are. I don't think this actually shows exactly what I was trying to show. This one is better. So we have warm temperatures inland getting up into the low 70s throughout the day tomorrow. But right along the coast, you notice, if you look really closely, we're still in the mid 60s. It's hard to see this because we're trying to get very fine scaled here. The reason for that is as that ridge builds in, it's actually going to be condensing and basically making the marine layer more shallow, which will bring in some more fog right along the coast, which keeps these coastal temperatures much cooler. That was way too wordy, and I'll try to explain that much better next time I talk about this. But basically the summary, you look just a little bit inland in Poway and Escondido, you're up into the low 80s. Just go a little bit west to the coast and you're in the 60s. The reason for that is that strengthening marine layer as that high pressure system builds in. So with these warm temperatures, with that dry air, we would have some fire danger, but those winds are coming down. So if you look at much of Southern California, we're actually in the low to moderate fire danger, which is certainly great to see because that's an area where we do often see some wildfire threat, where you actually get the winds that we were just looking at. These Santa Anas, when you get those kind of winds, that's where you can get some fire danger, but luckily those will be calming down throughout the rest of the day today. So to sum up, we have a red flag warning up here in Northern California due to high temperatures about 10 to 25 degrees above average. There's fuel moistures that are extremely low. Our humidities are in the single digits to low teens, and we're getting some wind gusts up to, if we go back to today, some wind gusts up above 30 miles per hour. So that's causing the red flag warning right now. Although the good news is it will be calming down throughout much of the day tomorrow and actually ending at 5 p.m. tomorrow. The other good news is if you look at the top 20 largest wildfires in the history of California, there's something interesting that you'll notice if you look at the dates here. Not one of these fires in the top 20 largest California wildfires has happened in the month of May. And I'm certainly knocking on wood right now, but it's still rather early in the season. There's still enough moisture around the overall state. There's still melting snow, and the soils have still held on to some of, albeit a lack of rainfall this season, but there is enough that it's still early in the season to get a massive wildfire. Again, knocking on wood there, but if you need some good news when it comes to the red flag warnings, we're still very early in the fire season, so I probably shouldn't say there's not a major concern yet, but that's kind of how I feel. But again, always take the National Weather Service and CAL FIRE's word for it, and always take warnings seriously. So I would actually say right now would actually be a good time to start thinking about wildfire season. If you think of this red flag warning anyway, it might just be like a little reminder that now would be a good time to start thinking about wildfire season. So one way you could do that is go to readyforwildfire.org. I put the link in the description. And the other thing you can do is actually start clearing the fuels around your house. You can see this line around the house in this photo. That's where you're supposed to clear any vegetation. I believe it's 100-foot perimeter you're supposed to have to protect your house. I did all my fire clearing yesterday. Took out a bunch of bushes, blew a bunch of leaves, raked it all up. Nice perimeter around the house. And the reason I'm saying that is because I would strongly suggest you do this fire preparation now. I made the mistake of waiting until the fires had already happened last season to start doing my fire preparation, and it was about 100 degrees and it was raining ash, and it made my work much more difficult than it had to be. So I think if you think about this video in any way, it could just be a good reminder to start thinking about wildfire. So now I'll actually check the live chat to see if we had any questions or even any forecast requests throughout the course of this video. And if there are any questions, I'll answer them. If not, then I think we'll wrap it up, and then I'll be sure to do another forecast as we get into the day tomorrow, as we see if this red flag warning can go away. So not seeing any questions in the live chat, so I think I'll just wrap it up. I guess the summary for the video is, if you haven't already cleared your house and vegetation, now would be the time to do it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a good day.